that. Leon Haslem and Alex Lowe. To be perfectly honest, we've said the middle of the lap, it didn't look as dominant for Toprak. That final sector, though, is going to be one to watch. Razgat Lioglu ahead of Lowe's by 1.5 tenths of a second. Here comes sector 4. Don't be surprised, it's going to be a big margin again. 3 tenths over Garrett Gerloff, and Isaac Viñales also appearing strongly through there. So Razgat Lioglu, very much the man to beat, and very close to going.
Yeah, and with only 2.5 minutes left, it's not too likely that he's going to get it back out. At the very least, he might manage to just get an out lap to make sure that the bike's okay for the afternoon, but that might be all that he's able to do in this session.
Toprak Razgat Lioglu then over the line. Second run of the second lap of this final stint for Razgat Lioglu, and he does get down into the 1 minute 34 to 1:34.985, and we're continuing to rub our eyes here in the commentary box with the alacrity with which Razgat Lioglu has learned this circuit and is now pounding in the fast laps.
Yeah, 1.6 seconds clear of the rest of the field. Alex Lowe's up there in second fastest. Scott Redding 1.9 seconds off the pace. You can see there a bit of frustration probably for Jonathan Ray that he's not been able to get himself back out there after that first stint.
He was already starting on the back foot. He's going to feel even more on the back foot now. New circuit, first free practice session, rivals storming away at the top of the timing charts, and 2.4 seconds down on him is Jonathan Ray. Now clearly there's a tyre element to that. Clearly there's an element to which Toprak has been putting in an awful lot more laps during this session than Jonathan Ray. He's going to be on almost double the number of laps that Ray has managed by the end of this FP1. Razgat Lioglu storming away then. I don't think he's got anything left in the locker to try and improve that time any further, although he does tend to be a man of surprises, doesn't he? Alex Lowe's improving on his latest lap as things stand. Likewise, Scott Redding has just crossed the line, 1:36.820. Michael Vandermark also moving up the order. He's doing a good job. Further back on the circuit, Alvaro Bautista in line to make some real progress. 1:37.3, his previous best during this session, and we pick up the Spaniard now.
Yeah, could move himself up into the top 5 here. Bautista, 6th fastest, 2 seconds off the pace, so he's there pretty much the same kind of lap times as Viñales and Axel Bassani. Scott Redding a couple of tenths of a second faster, but Alvaro with time for another lap at the end of this session.
Well, I was going to say 2.5 seconds off the pace of Razgat Lioglu, because to be perfectly honest, from Lowe's in second position down, there's very little to choose between them. Lowe's with a 1:36.529. That's Garrett Gerloff, who's just come across the line with a 1:36.585. That's 1.6 seconds for Gerloff off Razgat Lioglu. But from Lowe's all the way down past Jonathan Ray, who's now relegated outside of the top 10, but as you can see makes his way onto the circuit just to check that the machine is in working order, with only 20 seconds remaining until the checkered flag falls. But from Lowe's all the way down to Leon Haslem and Chaz Davies in 12th and 13th positions, just a second covering all of those riders.
Yeah, it is close in that second group, and what's going to be really interesting to see is what kind of progress everyone can make between free practice 1 and free practice 2, because spotting Toprak a second and a half, you kind of hope that a lot of that's just the fact that Toprak was willing to push harder than them at this stage, but we also know that the Yamaha as a package tends to work really well everywhere we've gone through the course of this season, so Toprak's going to feel with his base setting that he's got a pretty good option right from the outset, and obviously the opening laps are going to give him more and more confidence as well.
What second group is that then? Razgat Lioglu is a group all on his own in free practice 1, 1:34.985, a second and a half faster than his nearest rival as the checkered flag falls. It's Alex Lowe's who's second fastest, then it's Garrett Gerloff, Redding Viñales, Alvaro Bautista just recovering 6th place as he crosses the line, 1:37 flat for Bautista, so a couple of promising laps at the end of the session from the former world number 2. Axel Bassani 7th fastest, Michael Vandermark, Michael Ruben Rinaldi and Andrea Locatelli rounding out your top 10. Jonathan Ray completes his installation lap and he'll see the checkered flag.
Yeah, and Andrea Locatelli was the busiest rider out there as well. Looks like he's going to do 21 laps in this session himself and Tito Rabat, and Toprak put in a lot of laps as well, 19 laps, and you'd imagine when you look at the time there from Alex Lowe's at 36.5, Toprak's going to have quite a few laps faster than that as well. When we see the session analysis at the end of the session, that's where we're really going to be able to see just how strong Toprak's been. It hasn't been one lap, I'd say you're looking at 5 or 6 laps that have been faster than anyone else.
You mentioned previously the crash for Tom Sykes in the second sector earlier on in the session. He made his way back to the pits as Toprak Razgat Lioglu proves himself a real master of balance on the front wheel. He's like a performing seal at times, this man, isn't he?